Hey, okay. So, kind of the same as last week. Bruh, you thick. What is going on? I don't perspire much with the exception of the back of my knees. TMI, right? Um, so gross. So I gotta break out there. But you know what? It's getting to the point where this gaining phase is really coming into its own. This right now is like the sweet spot where I think last off season I didn't get to touch, and then the off season before, which is quite a good off season, I touched it and then I got pieced out. So this time we're staying put. So much, in fact, and I so want to like time spent cutting to a certain extent in an off season, or if you're just trying to maximize muscle gain, um, it's time that you can be spent like you could have spent growing. So, like to me, when I get to 180, looks super like just honestly 180. Now I'm not saying this to be big headed, but it is like most people's like goals in terms of like lean. I know I look like I look tubby, but it's crazy. Like I'll lose 10 pounds, and it's like all fat. It's like all fat, and I'll get to 180, and it's like, oh wow, you look like summer ready. Like veins in the abs, and like just everywhere, but not stringy, not like that natty flatty that we see sometimes. By the way, this is a myo rep set. If there is something to look at here, is like I don't start the concentric again until my calf kind of relaxes a bit, so it gives a bit, and then it's time to go up. So wait for it to chill out a little bit and give, and then we go. So rather than a count, I feel like this works even better because on some days it takes longer than others to really get that thing to let the Achilles like chill out. But yeah, so I've been thinking about this for a while now. I think I might bulk this whole year, no cuts, just keep going with it. That'll be 2 straight years. Because I just feel like just now I'm coming into my own. Like just now are things like super predictable. Um, and don't get me wrong. I mean, like I love the way I look 10 pounds lighter. Like it's my favorite personal look is like 10 pounds lighter than this, maybe a little bit more. Because I am like 195, but um, like I know that it'll look even better if I hold off just a little bit. Um, and yeah, it's definitely hard. Like don't get me wrong. And I know that at the end of the day, I have that fact that I get leaner than like 99.9% of people. That like there's dudes out there that be like wrecking like their livers and such, taking stuff to get to that point, and we just do it. So I have that. Like it's my forte, right? It's my thing. It's what like people think of like my bodybuilding is what they think of. So I guess for me it's a little bit easier because it's like, man, I can like run around with like orangutan boobies and no one's gonna say nothing because it's like, you know what? Give them 3 months and you'll see. So for those of you guys who are like in a similar situation, you guys are gutting it out and like making it happen, and you're gonna let the gaining phase run a little bit longer than you like to, but you should. Kudos to you because that's how my base was built. Like literally, I spent 3 years without cutting, and boy, was it worth it. When it was all said and done, we went from someone who looked athletic to someone who 23, 24, I just like had like the grown man look already, and that was because I decided to invest. So, here's my homegirl Betty coming at us. She's from Fort Collins, but she's here visiting on some business, and yeah, we decided to get a small impromptu session this week, and we may even get another one next week. But we went over just some movements, and man, I love people that love to learn, and as crazy as this might sound to you guys, like in this state, it's the evidence-based movement is not a big thing at all. So, hey, when she was like, "Hey, I'm in town. Can we go over a few things?" I'm like, "Absolutely. Let's do it." So we main thing we did, I think, is we revamped a few basic concepts with the barbell. Got her a low bar squat, and yeah, no, it was when she left Fort Collins, like it wasn't like popping with a lot of the brains that a lot of you guys know. The the Brian Miners, the Bryce Lewises. It wasn't nowhere. It was nothing like that. And now it's like a hot spot, right? But it wasn't always like that. And so she leaves, and she's like, "Holy shit, what happened to Fort Collins of all places?" I mean, I never thought I'd be here. But yeah. So anyhow, kind of a crappy week. And mostly because I'm still getting over some weird stuff with my back. It's more of a muscular thing, which to me is foreign. Every time I've had issues with my back, it's not muscular. This time it has been, but it's getting way better. There's a little bit of inhibition there with my good morning. This is 265 for, I don't know, a lot of reps. But I'm missing a little bit of that stretch at the end, and being cautious on the way up. But I think this next week it's going to be better because I actually got to squat and things were, they seem okay. So I don't know what it was. I think, to be honest, as odd as it sounds, like sometimes my two crazy dogs at home, like I roughhouse with them a lot, especially a lot of tugging, and especially now that it's winter, like we go ham. And because of that, every once in a while, they're like 7 and 8 now, but still they have a lot of pop. And sometimes they take me out of the planes that I specialize in, right? So in the meantime, as much as I was loving the pin squat, we're going to give this thing a go. It's still a squat pattern. It feels like there's not a whole lot of learning to do. I think on this day, the top sets were 355, so not bad. And I guess you can almost equate what people get out of a safety bar as like it's similar to like a front squat. So it's 355 for sets of 4, I think it was at some point, which means it did something relatively close, I think, in terms of like, load something, not 355, but maybe a front squat that would have been like 305, which is not a bad place for me to like commence and start with this. So pauses were a little but that'll get better. Again, it was one of those things where I couldn't believe how good my back muscles were feeling, and that I'm like, no, this can't be true. So again, just a lot of inhibition. But I think after having this week, good morning again later. Good morning. It's a few days from now, and I think once I get that in, I'll trust that area. But yeah, pauses were but the fact that this was our load and it moved relatively okay, I'm quite happy with that. Again, lower body, not a whole lot of volume. I don't need a whole lot. It does its thing. Just eat enough, lift some weights, and those 7-8 sets that I'm doing a week for my quads eventually amount to something. So one replacement going forward. I had to say goodbye to my dumbbells just because biggest thing is I really want that clavicular head to just do something finally. And with a closer grip, I can feel that stretch all the way down here. Closer grips usually do that. And then you combine that with an incline, man, it's been feeling pretty good. I'm not a stud at this movement compared to the dumbbells, but we're going to give this a trial run before we decide to invest in it the rest of our off season. So this was I think it was like 215 for some pause sets of 5, so not bad. But that's probably the newest thing in terms of changes. I try not to change my movements too frequently because, again, you change movements too frequently, you're just unlearning and relearning movements. Just stick to the ones that work well for you, that feel good, that don't hurt you, that you can progress with quite predictably. And that way that when you added a rep or some load, it's because you're growing some muscles, man. And it's not because you're like just basically relearning form, or in some cases learning form on this movement for the first time. So hey, it's felt okay. Yeah, this was 215 for pause sets of 5, I believe, and it's only going to get better. So yeah, we'll keep this one for at least 2 months, see where it's at, and if we stay healthy and we're progressing, we're going to keep it. But that's where I'm at, guys. We're going to probably bulk this whole year. That's probably the big news. All right, so yep. Orangutan boobies, all of 2019. That's the motto. All right. See you guys next week.